Good afternoon, everyone. European Union wholesale electricity prices spiking like they've seen in 2009, 2017, and now, with the economy the way it is, pull another Jenga piece out of the economy. Fertilizer prices near decade highs, farmers struggling for supplies, global food ecosystem collapsing due to staff shortages, and to rent a 12-year-old rust bucket container ship for only 3 months, you could buy 68 new Ferraris. You think the price of your goods is going to go up because the magical recovery in airlines and travel is only down 63.6% on Labor Day compared to 2019. It is an avalanche of recovery. Don't you see it? Apple has just announced a controversial new security update. The tech giant stated they will scan every iPhone, iPad, Apple computer connected to iCloud for illicit materials. Many calling it a disaster in the making. Nearly 100 policy and rights groups asked Apple not to go through with the update. But Apple isn't the only company doing this. Most tech giants breach your privacy in multiple ways. But you can fight back by using a VPN. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green. And you'll see how, from my initial service provider, I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. Go to virtualshield.com/adapt2030 for 50% off today, or click the link in the description box below the video. And now on with the video. Jumping over to the European Central Bank here, Goldman Sachs throwing this chart out. This is wholesale pricing for electricity if you're going to buy. A megawatt of electricity is going up to near record pricing yet again. Germany, UK, and Spain. Now, Germany's been offline and having a fair few problems producing enough electricity, so they're going to blend into the mix. That blue line is barely visible under the gray spike there. But what this means for you and I is prices of anything in Europe are going to substantially increase because manufactured or assembled, this is going to cost an enormous amount of money when you see electricity prices spiking to 120 euros per megawatt hour. That is absolutely ridiculous, and you've only seen it 3 times in the last 13, 14 years. And we know when these spikes come, you see the economic activity decline. Now, a lot of people drive cars around the planet. Goods are delivered based on liquid fuels being poured into a tank and those wheels hitting the road. Brent and West Texas crude forecast forward at least $80 a barrel. That's from Bank of America. That's just going to drive higher prices for everything moving into the holiday season. And then nitrogen is offline in Louisiana, which is one of the largest nitrogen producing areas of the states, not only for refining said oils into other distillate products, but fertilizers. And even though this was on August 30th, the prices have increased since then. Fertilizer prices at a near decade high just a couple weeks ago. Less production due to less nitrogen, and it's getting into a nasty feedback loop. Farmers are struggling right now to get supplies. Increased tariffs, higher energy costs, higher delivery. Elevated freight rates is another way to explain that. And wherever you look across our society, nothing is transitory toward the evaporation of the economic system we know. And fertilizer prices bringing us back to 2011. We know crops followed that. Agricultural commodities super spike at that time. I wonder if history is going to repeat because there's a lot of signs out there saying your food is going to get so expensive by the end of the year. And here's another thing that just shows you how broken and out of control the economy is. If you think goods getting delivered from another country, trinkets of junk across the ocean are going to cost less because of the just-in-time delivery, Here's a perfect example of how you are going to get priced out of the market, which the globalists want. They want demand destruction as hyperinflation rips its way through every economy of the planet. This is the highest charter rate ever recorded ever in the history of shipping, ever. This is a 12-year-old container ship. To rent it for just 3 months, to put containers on that and bring it across the oceans will cost you as much as buying 68 new Ferraris. $202,000 a day to rent this ship. And here's the quality of said ship, the Synergy Oakland, built in 2005. And then earlier in the year, they were just astounded. Same class of ship was reaching $135,000 a day. And then it went up to $155,000 per day. And if you can plainly see what's happening in the logistics sphere, get ready for non-delivery of so many items. It's just going to be too expensive. Now, at some point, this will demand destruct itself on people will not be able to pay that rate. Or on the inverse, you might say, if I can get it, I can charge whatever I want in any country if I can get the goods there because these ships are so expensive to run. Meaning you'll be paying double, triple, quadruple, 10x, whatever it is to get that good in your local store. And also there's this bevy of news with the talking bobbleheads on TV. Economic recovery, travel industry's recovering. You got to get your special meds so you can go out and run around the planet again. Well, when you look at the Labor Day 2021 versus 2019 Labor Day travel statistics, this year is still down 63.6% compared to a couple years ago. It was down as much as 80% during the middle of everything in 2020 and just a sliver, a smidgen up from that all-time low. And at the end of August, at the peak travel season, industry as a whole, airline, down at least 50%, and then take it a week prior, still down 61.5%. So what they're talking about rosy forecasts and recoveries, these are the numbers you're dealing with. They're coming off 80% lows down to 61% below previous levels, and they consider that a jump for joy, you better change your lifestyle recovery type of thing. Now add into this, global food ecosystems under severe pressure, collapsing would be a more apropos term here, for the staff shortages unable to process what's brought into the factories. So it either rots, or it doesn't get harvested, or the farmers sell it off because they can't find a processor for it. Going to give you a couple examples here. Southern Italy, in Foggia, tomato production has dropped by a fifth, or 20%, because of transportation woes, and paralysis is the word they use there. And also these processing plants are running at a fraction of what they would, because you see they need to stand a certain distance apart from each other before they would be shoulder to shoulder. That's not happening. So even if they're running at full capacity and the transportation system was still functioning and chugging along perfectly, what you're seeing there would still be a reduction due to the space between the people on the line. Take that into consideration, and then add in all those other bits of the Rubik's Cube there, and we have a severe problem with the food coming forward. Even though the world might grow it, the processing of it is a whole different level of thing. Don't be deluded by, the yields are this much. Yeah, they might be that much, but after they run through the factory to get to your belly in a supermarket, that number is absolutely going to decrease in terms of tonnage, or millions of tons. Not enough workers, not enough transportation means not remotely close to what's taken in the fields is going to make it through the factory. Vietnam, shrimp production has fallen by 60 to 70%. Palm oil producers, Malaysia, for example, Thailand, Indonesia, 30% down. And if we jump over to the UK, the whole entire dairy industry is affected there. Farmers are dumping milk. Again, it's the same thing. There's not enough transport. It can't get to market quickly enough. The factories are short on staff. And there's this bottleneck at the farm gate to the processing facility, and then another bottleneck from there to your final sale point, supermarket, for example. And the whole big story associated with this, too, in the very last sentence there, McDonald's ran out of milkshakes. Well, that's a global headline. should be waking you up because McDonald's is vertically integrated and they own their entire dairy farms themselves. So something's happening there with the transports being affected. See, they have the supply, and there's a lot of supply out there. At the farm gate, farmers, if you live in a farming community, you're going to be just fine. There's going to be an enormous amount of food, probably extra. Prices will probably go down in the farming communities because nobody can buy it and get it to market or get it processed. So either the farmers are going to stop growing or producing, or they're going to lower their prices because there's nowhere to sell it. And if you come along, and if communities come along that are near there and start to buy directly from the farmers, you're going to be in a great position. The rest of the world that operates in this just-in-time delivery where they rely on factory production with trucks and etc. delivering into cities, you are absolutely going to starve. No ifs, ands, or buts. The system is so broken right now. If you're not at the food production point, you are going to starve. In more recent news and articles, I thought this was a good rundown. Just on the right side of foodcollapse.com, they just focus on these types of stories in their news feeds, and they consolidate them all into one place. World food prices jump to record highs, no end in sight. See, that all rolls back to the electricity and the oil prices in the beginning of the video. Is there any end to skyrocketing food prices? No, because the farm gate to the supermarket chain is broken. Argentinians looking at food inflation 50%. Food manufacturers increase prices to respond to rising raw materials costs. Well, they're more gouging the customer because they say they're front-running inflation, but they're putting record high on the stock price and the dividends back to the shareholders. But you and I get pinched where they're doubling their prices, and equities are going absurd with their valuations. So wherever you look across this landscape, we are in some serious, I mean absolutely OMG problem right now with all these things dovetailing together. I just don't know how it's going to last through 2022. I really can't see it. Unless you're growing your own or preparing for such emergencies in the future and lack of available foods to you, ordering online is going to be an option. Perhaps there'll be dedicated food deliveries out there just to bring online orders, but in terms of getting it to the supermarket, you drive your car there and do that whole old school thing, that's going to evaporate. So currently, luckily, My Patriot Supply is still delivering, and I'm partnering with them on the 3-month emergency food supply. Also, the 6-month and the 1-year emergency food supplies, 25-year shelf life. And as I've run down here, you buy it now, it's going to be cheaper than in the next few months or next year. So I look at it as anything I'm buying now is a discount to what I will be paying in the next months or year. It's unbelievable what's happening. I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I look out at this landscape and I'm like, oh, it is finally here. It's finally here. There's no going back. There's going to be no going back to your old life, the old world, this thing. It's gone. There's no going back. This is the new way the world's being drug over the ashes of the old world into something new. You could call it the Great Reset. If enough of us say no, it stops. And if you can't say no because you're pinched financially or you have families or whatnot, you need to grow your own foods or get with communities of like-minded people that will grow their own foods. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.